Love confessions and romance animes are always bound to happen. Like at some point in the story, whether it's early on or very close to the end of the series, there is always going to be a love confession between the main characters of that romance story. Now, of course, while the love confession scenario is something that is always going to happen, it's the way it's executed that makes it such a very impactful moment. And that's really important because if you don't have a very impactful love confession, the people that are watching the series or that are reading the series aren't going to care about the two main characters being in a relationship if it's not executed well. And we've seen many series that have fallen into this scenario where they have made some very not so great love confessions. Although with that being said, there is series that have managed to make one of the best love confessions that you have ever seen. So it's no surprising that The Dangers in My Heart's love confession fits in this category. Not only did it create one of the best love confessions in recent times, but it's going to be one of those love confessions that are going to be very hard to forget. And that's not surprising considering how The Dangers in My Heart has just become a very popular romance anime, which is crazy to think about because I remember when the first few episodes of this anime came out, not a lot of people were interested. A lot of people thought this was going to be your typical generic romance anime that we oftentimes get in every anime season. But The Dangers in My Heart proved people that they were wrong because as the more episodes came out, the story started to become not only interesting, but you also got to really care about the two main characters' relationship, this being Ichikawa and Yamada. And season 2 took it to the next level because we already knew that these two had a thing for each other, but it was only a matter of time as to when they were finally going to be able to confess how they actually feel between one another. And I'm very glad to say that it finally happened, where we ultimately will end up seeing their love confession towards the very end of the season. But what really made this love confession very special is what led to this love confession being made in the first place, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. If you have watched season 2 of The Dangers in My Heart, you will know that this love confession happened during the school trip arc of the series, in which Ichikawa and Yamada were very excited to be going on their field trip. And this is especially important considering the fact that early on in this series, Ichikawa opened up to Yamada saying how in the previous year, this being their first year, he actually made an excuse as to not to go to that first school trip. So now that he's in second year and he's going again to another school trip, he actually wants to go and doesn't want to end up missing it out because that is the one thing he regretted doing, not being able to enjoy his school life to the fullest. Because he has become a different person ever since he met Yamada, he wants to do things that he never got to do. And at first, it seems that this is just going to be your typical school trip arc that you see a lot in romance series. However, there is a twist very early on in which we see that Yamada seems to be very conflicted on whether she wants to go or not. But at first, we don't really know why Yamada is conflicted on going on this school trip. And while she would end up going at the school trip and it seems that she is enjoying the school trip, Ichikawa very quickly starts to notice that there's something clearly wrong with Yamada. Since he has spent so much time with her, he knows that there's something not right with how she's acting during this trip. And it's not just him, even one of her friends notices very quickly that it seems like Yamada is forcing herself to be enjoying this school trip. It creates this mystery as to why Yamada isn't acting like her usual happy self. And while Ichikawa knows that something's up and he's trying to put all the pieces together, there's not something that comes across him that may seem as if there's something or there's a reason why Yamada is acting the way she's acting. But that all changes one night when they're at their hotel rooms, when Ichikawa will step out of his room to go to the balcony and underneath the floor is Yamada. And it seems that she's saying something, and this is where Ichikawa comes to realize that it seems that she's practicing for something. And that's when he slowly starts to realize that it now all makes sense. He is finally able to understand why Yamada has been acting weird in this entire school trip. He comes to the realization that it seems that Yamada was practicing for an audition that was most likely going to happen during the school trip, and she most likely had plans of not going, but because Ichikawa was so excited to going on this school trip, and Yamada, who at this point is very clear that she loves Ichikawa, she wanted to be by his side. So of course she put what she wanted to do to the side in order to spend time with Ichikawa. Upon learning this and realizing what has happened, Ichikawa does feel guilty because he feels guilty at the fact that Yamada put something that could change her life forever to the side, all because she just wanted to be next to him. And this is where he makes the decision that he's going to have a private conversation with her alone, and that would eventually happen. And later on, once both of them are alone, Ichikawa asks her if she is alright, and she's wearing a mask, as of course this is a great symbolism to show that she's been putting up a mask this entire time. She's not been truthful, but she's still not being truthful till this very moment. She tells Ichikawa that everything's okay and that everything is fine and that she is happy. However, when Ichikawa takes off the mask, it's a completely different story because she is not happy. She's very clearly sad about something. And when Ichikawa tells her that he knows about the audition that she was supposed to take instead of being at the school trip, this is where Yamada is finally honest and tells Ichikawa that she is sorry. But of course, there's nothing to blame her, and the only reason why she's apologizing is because she feels selfish, thinking that she was putting her happiness first rather than Ichikawa's. But of course, this is where Ichikawa has a different opinion because of course this is where we lead to the big event. Ichikawa realizes this is now the perfect time to finally tell Yamada how he truly feels about her, and he puts on the mask, which once again it represents that Ichikawa at this stage is trying to tell Yamada in a way that he was just like her. He too was also putting up a mask throughout the entirety of this story. If you have watched this series, you would know that Ichikawa was always pretending to be this edgy emo kid that didn't care about others and didn't care that if he was alone. But that was not the case because in reality he did care. He did not want to be alone, but he always felt like he wasn't going to ever have somebody by his side. But ever since he met Yamada, that all completely changed. And it's in this moment that he reveals everything. He tells Yamada that ever since he met her, he has seen the world much more differently. She gave him a colorful world in a world that he used to always think was just black and white. It's very obvious that because of this, Ichikawa was just making sure that Yamada did not feel like she was being selfish just because she wanted to do things that she wanted to do. But while he's doing this, at the same time, he's also trying to tell her that everything that has happened and all the changes that he has done in his life is because of her. And the reason being is very simple. She is the most important person to him. And when he finally takes off the mask, it's a great representation that he clearly is not going to hold back as to what he truly feels towards Yamada. He's not going to hide anymore as what he's actually feeling at this moment. And this is where we get to see Ichikawa finally confess to Yamada, saying that he likes her, which of course shocks Yamada, but this is no time to be thinking about this because she still needs to make it to her audition. Ichikawa tells Yamada that she should go and do what she wants to do and promises her that he has everything under control and he'll come up with a solution to this entire situation. Which of course Yamada is very happy to realize that the person that she cares for the most is looking out for her and is doing whatever it takes to make her happy and to keep her happy. Now with that confession in and of itself, it's a really great and powerful confession, but this wouldn't be the last confession that we would see, because as it turns out we would actually get a second confession. After the school trip arc, Ichikawa will get a message from Yamada in which Yamada tells him to meet her at the place that they usually hang out, and this of course is the library. Now what really makes this very more special is how this library was used, because it's the library, the same place that will not only be the first place they will ever meet, but this is a place that has a lot of memories of the two of them, and this will be the place that Yamada would choose in order to confess to Ichikawa. At first, of course, the topic is of course with her audition, but Yamada answers very quickly, saying that she tried her best and the results are not yet finalized. But very quickly she changes the topic, as she's very quick to tell Ichikawa how just like how he sees her as somebody very important, she also sees him as somebody that is important to her as well, somebody that she wants to be with for a really long time, somebody that completely changed her life as well. And that is something that is very powerful to hear, because you can tell that these two deeply do care for each other. However, unlike Ichikawa, who just only confessed his love for Yamada, it will be Yamada herself that will ask Ichikawa if he would like to go out with her, which of course the obvious answer to this question would be none other than yes. And at this point, it has become official that Yamada and Ichikawa are now an actual couple, and they are no longer just friends. And even though they do try to have their first kiss and it doesn't go exactly as planned, you can tell that they are just happy to be together, and this is just only going to be the beginning of their relationship. And that is how you create a perfect confession. It's not only emotional, but it's also just very charming to see. Two characters that have clearly gone through a whole lot and are clearly not perfect individuals because of the many things that has happened in their lives. But the thing that really made them together and the thing that made them stronger was each other. Without one another, it's most likely that Ichikawa was still going to have that mindset that he was always going to be alone for the rest of his life, that he wasn't going to be able to form any relationships, and that he wasn't somebody that could be able to form connections with people. But towards the very end, we see that not only now he has friends, he now has somebody that he cares for deeply. And the same goes with Yamada as well. Somebody who at first it seemed that she was the perfect person and has no issues in her life whatsoever, was somebody that was very insecure and was worried that the people around her were going to get sick of her if she didn't do her best. And just like Ichikawa, she herself thought that she was also going to be alone and nobody would want to be with her if she wasn't perfect. But that's not what happened, because she would meet somebody like Ichikawa in her life, somebody that did care for her and didn't matter if she wasn't perfect, because for him she was the perfect person that he has ever met, and somebody who would never leave her alone. While The Dangers in My Heart has its funny moments, its very interesting moments, what really makes this such a great romance series and probably one of the most memorable romance stories is very simple. It's just the relationship between Ichikawa and Yamada. These two clearly make the story all the more interesting to see, and you want to know more about what's going to happen with the relationship. And usually with most romance series, they tend to always wait until the story is about to finish for two characters to finally confess. But not this series, because it's obvious that the author of the story wants to expand the relationship. They want to show us just how great this relationship is and why they are meant for one another. And even though I am up to date with the manga series, I am still looking forward as to what's to come next with The Dangers in My Heart. And that's where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.